Hey guys, it's Tryptophan here with another quick guide video for Zerg and Zerg Hex. So basically, you're going to create spawners that go towards the enemy, and the enemy is going to try and kill them all, and you're going to try and kill them. So one thing you need to know about these spawners is that for each different unit you can produce, there's usually an upgrade, like for example, packed mass for Zerglings, which doubles the Soling's HP, but it reduces their movement speed by 40%. Creepers have a stacking attack buff. Usually you don't want to get either of these in the early game because it's a lot of money. Another thing you can do is you can upgrade the number of spawners. So every 4 seconds a Sloling is made. Unupgraded is 2, and if I upgrade it's 4. However, because I can already create 2 and it takes 4 seconds, and they're dying within 8 seconds, this doesn't actually help me at all. I'm just wasting money. So it's a bit better when they have to travel longer distances, but I'm not the hugest fan of upgrading your tier 1 units. I would only upgrade them like once you get like roaches and primal roaches, ultras, or brutas, like something a little bit better. Next you need to know about is your hive can produce, you can get upgrades here: Zerg armor, Zerg attack, Zerg movement, and supply. So Zerg armor is a little bit of a misnomer because it doesn't actually increase the armor of your unit. So if I get 5 armor upgrades, it doesn't increase my Soling armor to 5. What it does is it unlocks like higher tier units, which will have more armor. So if I went to 5, blah blah blah, it would allow me to get Brutas, which have 8 armor. So what's next important is the movement speed. The movement speed is pretty good because it allows your units to get from here to here faster. But as I said, like now it's taking even, they can travel further in 8 seconds. So that makes this upgrade a little bit worse too. A little bit more redundant. Next is Zerg attack. It's pretty good. You can get 50 upgrades. It costs 500k to get all 50, which is a ton of money, especially when you're only having like 300 minerals per second, 300 minerals per minute in the early game. So you really need to get your income up to even get these later upgrades. And then it's also not that good because 95% of the game, you're not actually going to be attacking the enemy. Like these Zerglings are not getting anywhere near in range to attack. So it would be useless to get it right now. I could have 50 upgrades right now and it wouldn't change a single thing. So usually you want to get these when you're actually like hitting the army. You have enough army mass to get to the Zerg or the Terran. Next, and then you need supply, obviously. There's no point. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. All right, so next we should talk about income. So income works a little bit differently in this game. So you create mineral extractors here, and the mineral extractor gives you money based on the number of spawners you have. So income is like spawners times mineral extractors. So you need a good combination of both. If you went pure mineral extractors, you'd have no money. If you went pure spawners, you'd have no money. So a good rule of thumb to figure out, should I have more spawners or should I have more mineral extractors for income, is you can look at the tooltip of the drone. So if I scroll down on mineral extractor, at the very bottom it says currently 59. That would give me 59 income if I made one. But if I made a mineral container, which basically shows me how much money I would get from spawning units, that would give me 52 minerals per second. So right now it's better to create a mineral extractor. However, like say they're both the same, say they're both 59, it's better to create units because they have the secondary use of like actually attacking the Terran, whereas this is just useless in terms of offensive abilities. So usually you want to favor units a little bit more than mineral extractors. And also it's the spawners of both allies. So it will count spawners from your ally. This is a sandbox mode, so there's gonna be no spawners over here. And then late game you can use the mineral container. But the mineral container is useful in the early game just to see the tooltip of if you should make units or buildings. Next we should talk about the one caveat to that is if you spawn an infestor, this takes a while. So the infestor has units it can produce too. Instead of constantly being made like these other units, they take a really long time to spawn. So the caveat here is that these infestor buildings, they count as four of these buildings in terms of income, but it's not that useful to know. Anyways, next we'll talk about defending. So there's 3 ways to defend in addition to units. So in each one of these hatcheries, you got a absorbing cloud. I put it on the ground here, and it drains their energy and it slows them down a bit. So that's one way to defend yourself. Infestors is another way. If you look at this transfusion ability, it says instantly restores 300 life to the target structure, and structures gain 200 maximum health, up to a maximum of 1600. So if I put this on a giant spine, which is the main defensive structure on Zerg, it can go from 1300 health to 1600 health if I do it 8 times, or to 1600 more, for a total of 2900, which is a lot more defensive. Plus I can transfuse it even more. And this giant spine does a ton of damage. It's AoE. It's just your main defense. So infestors here. And then another thing you can do is, like, there's 2 giant spines here, right? You can put a hatchery in between them. They're not going to be able to focus this hatchery. And then you can use the absorbing cloud from this hatchery into any army that's attacking, and then transfuse it. And it's going to be very defensive. Another thing you can do is you get hydras. They're kind of decent in mid game. They can protect, like, your outside parts, but a lot of people will just skip over them. But it's okay to have a few, and they can sometimes kill a few Marines. Next, we'll talk about what kind of units should you be producing. So early game, I'd recommend slow lanes. You have a few choices. You have slow lanes, the creepers, tank lanes, and strike lanes. Strike lanes are technically the best for economy, but they're kind of useless because they die in one hit. And I'd rather have slow lanes, which will have a little bit of an impact. Creepers are decent, like, if you get the upgrade and you spawn a few of them and you attack these empty walls, you can put a threat on a different choke point that they normally wouldn't have to defend, which can be kind of annoying. So I'd recommend those 2 units, the creeper and the slow lane. I wouldn't recommend tank lanes just because it hurts your income so much. And if you all in a good player with tank lanes, they could still have 3 gas and defend, like, even though you're all inning them. Like, really good players in this game are not going to die to any early game harassment. They're not even going to be phased by it. So I would not recommend any early game shenanigans because it only kills bad players. And for example, if you're a shark, no, let's not do a shark analogy. Say you're like a fighter, like you're a giant orc, and you have 3 opponents. 2 of them are like professional swordsmen, and the other one's like a crippled man who's quadriplegic. You're not going to try and do a strategy to kill the quadriplegic man. He's completely irrelevant. So you're going to want to focus your attention on the good people and try and harass them a little bit until you can get stronger. Zerg's really strong in the late game in this game. Next, there's 3 different ways to, like, kill people, I guess, right? So you can drain all their energy, and the best one for that is the Primal Roach. Why is it the Primal Roach? It's because they have an upgrade where for 3,000 minerals, they can spawn every 3 seconds instead of every, like, 8 seconds like a Bruto would. So you can just create, like, 2.5 times as many almost of these Primal Roaches. So it's really good for draining energy. Brutos are also pretty decent for draining energy, but not as good as Primals. The one exception to that is if they have veteran Marines. Brutos have 8 armor, and veteran Marines do 9 damage, so they only take 1 damage, so it's just kind of a armor shenanigans going on there. So Brutus can be really good in that situation. For killing armies in general, Brutus are really good. And then the Infestor can spawn, once they have 700 energy, they can spawn these infused roaches. It takes 100 seconds to spawn, but they have this AoE ability that does AoE damage. You get like 6 infused roaches, and you can sometimes kill some armies. Usually you want to combine that with, yeah, see, this is Primal Roach is pretty strong. This might actually end the game. I need to not end the game. Okay. So, so yeah, we got hydras for defense. And then the way to kill people who are turtling, for example, like this side, you can either use like these creepers and get the upgrade. You can, and then late game, you want to use like Taurus, which is the last infestor unit. You get a Taurus or two, and that can do a lot of damage. If they don't have much of an army behind it, you can use infestors to transfuse the Taurus, so you don't need many Taurus to kill them. That Taurus will just have multiple HP bars that they won't be able to get through, and the Taurus will kill them. And then the other unit that's useful is the Ravager. This can only attack structures, can't attack armies. It has a ranged attack. I'm winning here on accident. Let's not win. Okay. Okay, so the Ravager has a ranged auto attack. It only attacks structures. It's an AoE auto attack, and it reduces the armor, so it allows your other units to do a lot more damage, which is why it's good for base breaking. Yeah, so even though like these creepers are doing well, it's because they stack their auto attack, infinite stacking for every auto attack they do. Otherwise, they'd be doing like no damage at all. Okay. All right. Hope you guys learned something about Zerg. One other thing is late game you can use mineral containers instead of army if you're running out of space and like they're kind of turtling and army doesn't even help you anyways. So you can use this for spawner because it's mineral container times spawners, right? So you'll need a combination of both. And then if you're lazy and you're running out of mineral extractor space, you can just upgrade it for 45 minerals, and it's not a waste at all. It's the same efficiency. All right, see you guys in the next video.